going at.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We've been speaking this hour with intuitive healer and shamanic practitioner Jacques. And I just want to talk about, healing for a minute, because I remember way back when I took over the center from Giorgio, and he was teaching the acupuncturist Tim, who now works with us in his particular form of acupuncture, is very rooted in Buddhism. Is he said something that, we're not here to cure anybody, because what are we going to cure them of? Everyone's eventually going to die. But just because we don't cure people doesn't mean that we don't help people to heal.
Right.
So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that distinction of healing versus curing, because sometimes people tend to equate the two of them.
Right, right. So if somebody comes in with cancer, then, what I do is I'm not going to say, I'm going to cure you of the cancer.
Right.
You're going to leave here the cancer is done.
Right.
What I can do is I can go to the underpinnings of why the cancer was created by the person.
Right.
And most of the time that's rooted in processes that are happening on subconscious level.
Right.
And so what I can say is I can help you heal that part of you that's subconscious. And it needs to be put back together again, and it creates a different energy for you to work from. After that, your body has to take over and do whatever it needs to do and whatever it can do. For certain people, like in the lady with the herpes, what I mentioned, in her case, she was able with willpower and with energy and with the state that her body was in to make that change and have her body heal herself, and also take care of that issue.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that it always is happening. There's no way that there is. Curing is not what we do. I heal people. I help them find the underpinnings and see if they can find and make a change in their life in such a way that they provide themselves with a different base to live from. Sometimes, I had somebody call me 3 weeks ago, and she called me and she said, my mom is dying, and and her liver is giving up and her kidneys are giving up, and she said, can you do a distance healing for her? I said, sure, I'll do a distance healing for her. So I did an extensive 2-hour distance healing for her, and the next morning. I get a brief email, she died. And I was and she was like, can you bring her back? I said, no, that's not my job. That's not my job. I was but what she said, but why did she die? I said, well, the things that I've seen and that I communicated with her soul as I was doing the healing was that there were certain things that needed healing. Something happened, when she was a little girl, and that during that I helped her heal that, and that healing process gave her peace, because her body was already so far gone that it gave her peace at that moment to say, it's good. I fought through the disease. I've done this and I've done that. And it's time now for me to go and pass on to the other side.
Right.
And and so, there is. I'm not curing.
Right. Really, because sometimes it's just that's their life path. Giorgio used to say, everybody has their own. You don't know a person's kama vipaka, which is their karma, so to speak.
Right.
And so he said, you can heal somebody and the cancer can go away, and the next day they can go out and get hit by a bus.
Exactly.
So it's death is a part of life, and when the time is the time, we're all going to leave this mortal coil eventually, as they say. And
death is really only a transition. It is a change. And and when you work with death. We work with death every single day. Some of our ideas die every day. Some of our experiences die every day.
Right, yeah. And we don't know what lurks around the corner. We really don't.
Yeah.
And you integrate Buddhism into your practice as well?
Yeah, for me it's I when I think of spirit and when I think of love, I like to have feedback for myself as well, because I need nourishment as well. Like,
Sure.
that I need to take care of myself.
Absolutely.
You were mentioning about you can only give at the beginning of the program.
Right.
You can only give if you have enough to give.
Right.
If you're not half depleted.
Right.
And for me, Buddhism gives me like a source, an extra source, a reminder of like, yeah, this is what it's all about in life. This is my spiritual, my philosophical background that I'm going back to as well, to feed myself and say, it's really not about the judgments. It's really not about this, and it's really not about that. Like, it's really about the love that we feel and the compassion that we can create for our fellow human beings. And that's really where I go back to over and over again. And it gives me like kind of like an umbrella, because as you mentioned, like, I'm a white person, I'm coming from Holland, I'm not indigenous like in this lifetime.
Right.
But all these healing ways, they're all like fed by the same thing in my experience, in love. And Buddhism provides me that umbrella.
Do you find that people today, as opposed to maybe when you first came over, are more open to these kinds of
Absolutely.
topic and
Absolutely,
feelings?
absolutely. I feel like there's been like really like a surge, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, really, and it's beautiful, like it's
Absolutely.
And the shamans who share their wisdom with us, they talk about this prophecy that that came out, that it was time to share their knowledge with the larger world.
Right, because they would never share these things. We were getting lots of hearts on that one.
Okay.
On the Facebook live stream.
Yeah.
Thank you. That, in the past, they would never sort of teach these things to people from an outside culture.
No.
But it was only in the last 20, 30 years that indigenous people started to teach these ways to Westerners, to outside cultures, and it's really sort of spread around the world, hasn't it?
Yeah. And with good reason, because our Western Europeans that colonized the world, and people from this continent too, they pose threats in many ways to the indigenous cultures. So, there was good reason for them to keep the information and the knowledge and the experience to themselves.
Right.
And the sad part is, unfortunately, that you see that a lot of indigenous people find within their countries not always the support that they're looking for, and that they're actually happy to share that knowledge with foreigners, white people that come in and that are actually wanting to like perpetuate.
Almost more open to it than their own people.
Exactly, and it's a sad story, and they are very aware of that. That if it needs to spread, then they need to use any well-meaning human being that wants to go that way.
So, what does the future hold for Jacques? where do you see yourself going from here, or are you just in the moment?
In part I'm in the moment, and in part I'm really looking forward to like spread this information to more people, and to offering it to more individuals. I also I also started like a healing circle in Brooklyn.
Oh, wonderful.
And so then people have like a different setting of like experiencing shamanism. And I'm looking forward to do more teaching. I've kind of like have put the teaching back a little bit on the back burner for many years.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm slowly growing toward that as well. And
wonderful.
So I'm really looking forward to that part.
All right, great. So if people want to learn more about you, get in touch with you, where can they find out about you? How do they get in touch with you?
I think the most direct way is through my website. It's www.Jacques, Jacques, Burgering, that's Burger King without the K, and .com. And just go to the contact. And if people want to participate in the healing circles, they can do that too. Just contact me through the website. And if you want to mention that you knew about me and the work that I've been doing, through this program, then I'll definitely give you a discount.
So
when you come in.
you hear that, everybody? If you contact Jacques and you say, hey, I heard you on the Conscious Consultant Hour, he'll give you a discount for a session.
Absolutely.
So take him up on that.
Yeah.
Well, Jacques, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come in studio.
Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. I really appreciate it this time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Wonderful gift. Okay.